What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to love better, live better, smell better, and mostly feel better every damn day of their lives. And our Wednesday night show, brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. If you're looking for a place to watch MSU games, they've got great MSU game day specials. Also, I often go on Monday nights with my co-ed soccer team. They've got half-off burgers, $4 Michigan beer pours, 25-plus Michigan beers on tap every Monday at Front 43 and Cask & Company. Two great restaurants next to each other, one amazing menu and beer selection, two different vibes, great spot, great place to watch games. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
What's up, buddy? What happened to Twitter?
What do you mean what happened to Twitter? Did I miss it?
I don't know. You can't DM people now, or something's going on.
Jesus.
You know what's funny is people freaking out. Like you can't DM someone right now. Just chill the fuck out and give it maybe 12 hours or something, right? I mean, do you need to DM that badly? I mean, I like Twitter. Don't get me wrong, but if it went away, I guess we just go to the next thing.
Yeah, there are somebody would come up with something new. There's something called Spoutable that just happened, or there will be things. Yeah,
Spoutable. Hey, I'll see you on Spoutable.
It doesn't quite.
No, and Musk, your boy Musk has $50 billion involved in this, so he ain't going anywhere. I mean, you have to do something with Twitter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
So the thing that's happening tonight is we may need a new furnace, which I'm not real thrilled about.
Ooh.
Yeah, bad deal. I'm just sitting there today in the living room working on a MSU hockey column, as one does, and all of a sudden, I'm like, do my nostrils just smell weird? Like, it smells like burnt plastic inside my nose.
The inside of your nose, does it smell weird?
Well, it turned out it was an actual smell in the house, but I thought for a second that was like my initial reaction is something's wrong with me, right? And so
it's always a good start.
Yeah, and then
start there.
When I hear the pitter patter of my wife's feet upstairs, she comes down and she's like, "Do you smell that?" And I was like, "Okay, it's not just me. Either that or I really stink from a long way away, which is also possible." And so she smelled it. And then we unplugged everything that might be like an iffy socket in the house. We're like, I don't know about this. Is it gas? Whatever it is. Turned off the heat, all this stuff. And then tonight, starting to get cold. So we're like, let's turn the heat back on. Instantly smell it again. Oof. So we're talking to them today. It does not sound good. But, you know,
so you need to get someone over there.
The problem with all these heating and cooling places, and even people I like and trust, is it's sort of like car salesmen. Because I don't know a lot about it, I don't trust the idea that I definitely need a new furnace.
You have to fake it. You have to look up some furnace words and act like you at least know what, kind of a manly kind of thing, like know what you're talking about. The same thing with our water heater. I talked to a guy and I was like, yeah, man, it's industrial, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know any of that shit. So,
well, and here's the thing, like I would have
going to pay a tax for it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I would have, I was also part of this club through our heating and cooling place.
What?
I pay like $20 a month to get to be part of the club, and you get tune-ups on air conditioning and heating every year.
Are you fucking serious?
Yes, I'm
$20 a month.
I'm easy to con. Don't worry. But it was worth it.
How long have you been paying $20 a month
to be in
a furnace club?
The worst part is I just quit paying like 3 months ago by letting it be on a credit card that expired.
And second of all, how do you not lead with, I am in a fucking furnace club. I'm in an air conditioning and furnace club for $20 a month, dude?
Well, but
you should never complain about paying for any app.
Here's why I did it. Because the oldest appliance we have is not this nearly 20-year-old furnace. The oldest appliance we have is our nearly 30-year-old central air conditioner outside.
Yeah.
And I knew that was going to go at some point. So my thought was, they were able to come in once a year and pour semi-illegal Freon and stuff in there and make it work really well
for $20 a month.
Yeah, and so I'm like, hey, that's worth it because it's better than paying real money to get a new air conditioner.
So it's like insurance.
Essentially, it was. Yeah, except I let this
What's
thing
the
expire.
deductible? $10,000.
Yeah, I'm about to find out what because I paid it quite a bit.
General?
Anyway, so that's tonight, and
I just love how you just keep that till the end of the story, though, that you're in some furnace air conditioning
totally
club.
suckered into it.
So did they get right back to you when you, obviously, now that you're in a club, you just send out
but
a
I'm
bat
not in the
signal?
club. I let it expire. That's the problem. This place that I paid all this money to, now that I need them, I'm not actually in the club. Yeah.
So they just ignore your text
No,
now?
they got right back to us, and we'll get back in the club or something.
Well, if you give us $180 right now, we'll get you right back into the club, Mr. Couch.
Okay. I don't feel like, And the worst part about furnaces and any of this stuff is that, like, we live in a 100-year-old house. And some people have older furnaces than us that are better. Like, if you have a really old furnace, it's a good furnace. They don't make furnaces like they do, just like they don't make dishwashers like they used to. Like, my mom has a much older furnace, and the people will come there and tell her, yeah, don't replace this until you absolutely have to, because the one they put in will be complete shit compared to this, and you'll just have to replace it in 10 years anyway. And I just wish they made good stuff still.
You're saying that older dishwashers are better than the current ones? Are you out of your mind?
No. They lasted longer. They were built to last, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now we have a pretty good new
I was about to
dishwasher.
say the new ones are unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all fine. It's just it's
going to cost you some scratch though.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We'll deal with the scratch in a little bit when we have Harry come on and we do our Super Bowl props tonight. I'll win it all back this year. I'm sure of it.
I texted Harry. I'm like, you still good for around 8 o'clock? He's like, yeah, I got props. I was like, yeah, no shit. I hope so, man. There's like 3,000 combinations. I mean, looking through them today, I'm like, oh my God, there's a little too many. Can I say that?
I found a few I like.
Yeah, me too.
And we'll get into all those and props.
What's your max on props though?
Well, I've 50,
do you go over
$50.
No. Like how many? Like 10? I mean, I just want to be able to keep track.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it less than 10 this year. I've done like 20 before and paid dearly for it.
And squares and
I one year I did like 20 props at $50 a prop, and I lost like 17 of them.
Oof.
And you just like, what am I doing? Why? Never again. I'll probably set a limit like $40 or something like that.
Oh, smart. $10 less.
$10 less.
That's nice.
Keep it at 8.
Yep. We got to win that new
$320.
furnace, dude.
Maybe I'll double it. I'm going to win the furnace on Premier League bet, so we'll give you some of those. Manchester United losing the leads today, or tying leads today, didn't help that. I'm glad I didn't give that out. Before we got some other stuff to do before we get to Harry and our Super Bowl picks and props.
Were you sweating last night? That bra bet? When Maryland started making a comeback?
There was a minute.
Jesus.
When Maryland goes up 2 or 4, whatever it was, there was a moment after like a fast break dunk by Donta Scott where I thought, because what Maryland looked like, and this is the best thing about that Michigan State win for them, Maryland looked like the tougher team for a minute. Michigan State looked like they were going to get out toughed on their home court. That's a problem. When it happens on the road, it's not good. When it happens at home, it's a big problem. Because Maryland's not a bad team. They're going to be an NCAA tournament team. You can see that. There's some toughness to them. It's
couldn't hit a three.
Same with Rutgers, and they're not a great three-point shooting team, and some of that's Michigan State's defense. When a number of teams in a row outside, I think 3 of the last 4 games, Michigan State's holding opponents to 1 or 2 or 3 three-pointers a game, and they're shooting 17 to 22 of them and missing most of them. Eventually, it's your defense, right? Their defense is really good. But what I saw for a moment there was a Michigan State team that looked wobbly. It was like these guys, they're about to be taken out by Maryland. And you could hear it in the Maryland bench. Like those Maryland guys believe they could win that game.
Don't coach my team.
And Tyson Walker at that moment had a couple really big plays. And everybody else seemed to settle in. And I thought A.J. Hoggard, for the most part, played a better game. He had a couple moments, though, that were troublesome. But Walker was the guy you start to think, boy, when you need a bucket, when things aren't going great, that guy's got an edge to him. I want the ball in his hands. And you saw him come through. I think the important thing about last night's game was that they had their backs against the wall. They were in a situation where the somewhat must-win game, the sort of game they've won every time they've needed it this year, and they again found a way to do it. And that, to me, when they've got that to them, that at least sets their floor. That sets their floor. Graham doesn't have to wear a bra. They'll be in the NCAA tournament. That's a good floor. Now, the question, again, is still whether they ever have a ceiling that's much more than that. And there were things that were concerning last night, and I don't think they showed any more ceiling. But some nights are just about preventing disaster. Yeah. And last night was that to me. I don't know.
Yeah, but at least you had to, you had to sweat for that bet. Because I was watching that game, and I go, if they lose this game, this season's, I don't even want to do the show anymore, I don't think. Do we just retire if they lose to Maryland? I mean, I figured I was going to see Steven Izzo. After the first half, I'm like, all right, Steven Izzo's going to come in at some point, right?
Well, let me say this, though. A 15-0 lead against a decent team. We saw this against Villanova.
You could tell Maryland couldn't hit any threes. It just looked like Michigan State was going to be around the 13-point lead like for most of the game, and then they just let Maryland get back in it.
The problem is Michigan State isn't good enough offensively to really blow out tough, good teams. We saw it against Villanova early in the year. Villanova couldn't hit threes either. They just had tough guys who'd won a lot of games. Michigan State got way up, and that became a dicey game, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen it when Michigan State's gotten off to a few great starts. That's not a team that, unless you're a bad team, that has the firepower to blow you out. And that's their issue. And the other thing is a 15-point lead is sort of like a 2-0 lead in soccer, 15-0 lead, sort of like a 2-0 lead in soccer. It's kind of a dangerous – you start to relax. You got the feel-good energy. And if the other team's got any pride and gumption to them and you sort of relax it all and start to not do the things that got you that lead – because a 15-0 lead is usually a lot of luck. It's made shots. It's the crowd going your way. It's that feel-good home fluff bullshit. And that's what it is. It's not real. It's often not real. And you got to fight to maintain that good luck. And teams struggle to do that. The thing that concerns me, there were things that last night that I thought, like I'm watching, like Mady Sissoko is what Mady Sissoko is going to be to an extent. And where I think, like it's not, I do agree that his defense is his ball screen defense is better than any other big man they got by a ways.
Just hang on to the ball.
Yeah, and it's not just that. He doesn't see the game that well. He's sort of, I equated this to somebody else today, he's sort of like the Tum Nairn of centers. And
no offense.
But the problem with that is this. You can be a decent athlete. You can run the things that are there for you. But there's no ability to improvise, to feel out the moment. Your teammates don't trust that you see what they see. And I see that sometimes with him and Jaden Akins and other guys. They just don't know that Mady is going to do what somebody who is a really natural basketball player would do. And that's a problem you don't have when you do have Jackson Kohler in the game. He's a natural player. There are things where he struggles. But he's a guy who, lives the game, loves the game, looks like he was born on a basketball court to some degree.
Would it be possible to combine Sissoko and Kohler?
That'd be a better player.
One person.
Be a better player right now, yeah.
That'd be fun, right?
Be a much better player.
Let me ask you a question. If I gave you this in the NCAA tournament, you don't know Michigan State's opponent, but I told you Joey Hauser will score 20 points and Michigan State will have under 10 or under turnovers. How far do you think they go?
Yeah, No, after watching last night's game, because that's what happened, right?
Yeah, I just like when I see Hauser score 20, he looks confident, and
right.
Michigan State has 10 or below turnovers. I just think they can compete with any team in the country.
I think you're right,
and that's what's really weird about this team. I really want to love this team, but they do some things sometimes that are like, Jesus.
Here's if you're looking for hope for a higher ceiling, you need to find where are they not reached who they are, right? Like I think Joey Hauser and Tyson Walker are really good players, very good college basketball players. I don't think either one of them is going to be any different than they are now in 2 months. Like, they're really good. You shouldn't need them to be good. They've had good seasons. Those are your two leading scorers. And you need one of them to really be on point on a given night in a big game. And if both of them are hitting shots, that's helpful. But and the best thing that's happened to Hauser, and I think I'm going to write about this soon a little more, and because I want to get into this psychosis with him or whatever. But
why don't you write something?
He used to, he starts missing shots. He turns the ball over. His whole game gets derailed. And the best thing about him this year is it just doesn't. He keeps shooting. He keeps thinking he's going to hit the next one, and he does.
You have to,
and that's huge. Yeah, and if he had been that guy in previous years, he'd been a lot better player earlier. And so I think that's been a huge development. Tyson Walker's got an edge to him. When there was that little bit of a fracas near the Maryland bench, Walker puffs his chest out, walks over there. He's like 5'7", but he's like ready to take on the world, right? And that's who he is. You want that guy in your team. There are 3 players of their 5. I don't think Mady Sissoko, you can want him to play well, and you want him having more confidence and playing as well as he can, but I don't think he's going to develop into something a lot more than we've seen at this point. Jackson Kohler has a chance to offensively, though, continue to elevate a little bit. But the 3 guys to watch are Hogard, Akins, and Hall. Because those guys are guys that can play, I think, at a level greater than we're seeing right now. Akins, you're just seeing sort of a steady growth where you see it more and more. You see better rebounding from him. You see better defense. You see a better shot creation, more consistency in shot making. And he's not a big-time scorer for them this year. That's not his role, but you can see that sort of game happening at some point. The Hall is lost offensively, and that is good and bad.
Well, how do you fix it?
Well, just by letting him play out of it. I don't think there's any way around it. He needs to see success. He's a good basketball player. He's been playing basketball his life. He just right now has been not playing with them as much, so they've done this season without him. He doesn't trust certain things, and this is where not having a go-to move hurts you. He's got an array of moves, but he doesn't really have something that's an NBA move. And you saw it yesterday. Like that play he had yesterday, the second time he passed up an open 3, pump fake, drive to the hoop, went up like he was LeBron James, and had no shot at ever getting to the rim. And the other guy was there to block it. He eventually kind of threw the ball out of bounds over the basket. It looked like a more athletic version of me throwing the ball off the glass at Purdue.
Just a little.
But like that's not him. That's him not feeling like he wouldn't have done that in November before he got hurt. And
would he have to throw the ball to him in the post to get him a couple easy buckets?
Well, he had a couple shots. Yeah, and he started to see that in the second half. I think he's got to feel the game. He's got to keep his head up. I mean, there were a couple times he just looked like he made up his mind he was going to – they're open guys and he didn't feed him the ball, and that's not his game either. You just need him to – so, but that's good and bad because if Malik Hall was playing as well as Malik Hall can play and you were still struggling in certain facets offensively the way you are, there'd be no room to grow. And that'd be like, well, this team is just this team. And so that to me is that you can look at that from a promising spin, you know, if you were to spin zone that sort of thing. Now, I think the other guy, Hogard, is I really think still, and we may or may not see it this year, but there's a chance for him to go, we'll see 4 or 5 games in a row where he looks very locked in, very poised, he doesn't have that stretch where he just makes a couple dumb turnovers. And when you avoid those stretches, when he does that, it elevates everybody around him. They become a little bit of a different team. To what degree, I don't know. They're never going to be an offensive juggernaut. You can predict them to score in the mid-60s with all their tempo and shot making, everything right now. That's who they are. Defensively, they're good enough. But the margins for them are going to be small, but they're not. It's not impossible for them to be a team that is just a nasty out in the NCAA tournament. That's not impossible. They're just not that right now. But there are enough things where they can still, get to a different place that I think it could still happen. But the shortcomings that are there with Mady Sissoko, that's going to be there. There's no way around. He is sort of who he is, and whether and I think they're going to need him on the floor to some degree every single night because defensively that it requires it, and that's something else you address this offseason. Does he continue to improve? Can you work with him to get him to a place where he can play more? Do your younger guys pass him, or at least are a place where they're pushing him? And then obviously Xavier Booker comes in, and that changes the dynamic too. So it'll be a whole different thing after this year. But you've got to, Sissoko is what Sissoko is, and I think a lot of the frustration with him just needs to. The thing is that doesn't exist with MSU is like when Tum Tum Nairn was a senior. Playing him meant Cassius Winston, sophomore, was on the bench. And that legitimately drove people nuts. Cassius Winston was like one of the most efficient players in the country by all the metrics as a sophomore. And he didn't play great defense, and that kept him on the bench quite often.
But it was quite the trade-off offensively.
Totally.
But
there's nobody like Cassius Winston. There's nobody, the equivalent to that would be if Nick Ward were the freshman and not Jackson Kohler. If Nick Ward, who was still, even as a freshman with some deficiencies, was a bucket getter. That guy's not there. You can't, if Jackson Kohler becomes that, and Izzo's talked about this in the last, if he becomes that in the last, 7-8 games here of the regular season, you reassess.
So what are fans expecting going to Ohio State on Super Bowl Sunday at 1 o'clock, right? I mean, I love the way that Michigan State ended that game last night, though, because it's like you just point and go, see, look at that right there. You guys can do it. But I just don't know. Is it a must-win on the road?
Well, it's
going to Ohio State.
It's a game that it's a telling game in this sense. Ohio State is really struggling, but they've got decent talent. Like you look at Ohio State, you're like, I didn't see that coming the way it is, and they got bad body language at times. They're young in certain places. I don't know. It just doesn't work, right? They're just not that. They've had one key injury. I don't know. They're just
but there's going to be one guy. There's going to be Bruce Thornton who's going to have 35 points.
You got to get them down, and you got to make them lose their confidence. And what you can't do to a team like that is make them believe. Yeah. You've got to be better than that. And I don't know that Michigan State is. Like I don't trust Michigan State to go in there and like this is a game where I'll learn a lot about Michigan State because I do not trust this Michigan State team in every facet. I trust certain things. I trust they'll play hard and defend. I trust they'll score 65 points because they do every single game, win or lose. I think, I trust the sort of the mental edge and fortitude of certain players. But I don't trust them collectively to put their foot on the throat of a struggling young team like they should. And those are elements of teams that advance in one-and-done situations. And Michigan State's good enough to get lucky game after game after game. Not get lucky, but they're good enough to win game after game after game. But that's just unlikely. That's it's like roulette with this team right now. The Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. Michigan State is absolutely. I mean, it'll feel like a coin flip every time they take the court in the postseason right now. Just like it is if you keep putting it on red or you keep putting it on black. But the odds are eventually you don't just keep winning. 50% chance every time out doesn't, and eventually it'll be a little less than 50. But you get my point. Like right now, they're not a team that you go, that's a team that makes a run. And Izzo keeps talking about they have the goods to make a run, and a lot of that's tied to if they get the real Malik Hall back, and we'll see. And I think that is something they need to work on.
When he says that, he's saying everything has to go right. Everyone has to be healthy. This has to go this way, right?
And he just needs the Malik Hall that was there at the beginning of the year. Because let's be honest. I mean, the games against Gonzaga and Kentucky, and those are a long time ago. Those were different teams. Michigan State's a different team. Those weren't one game was on a fucking boat. But those were healthier versions of MSU. I know, Akins was still coming. But those were, is that truer to who MSU is? When Malik Hall is fully integrated on things? When his head is right? When he feels good about his game? Right now, Malik Hall doesn't feel good about his game. And because of that, Michigan State is not really playing with.
So what do you think the spread's going to be?
It'll be Michigan State.
I said -4.5.
No, it won't be that big.
No? All right.
Michigan. It's on the road. Michigan State -2, -1.5. It's not a bad day.
See.
It's not a bad day to bet the Spartans. Because if they've got anything to them, they'll win this game.
Hope so.
They absolutely should. All right, before we get to Harry, couple other things to touch on. You watched LeBron last night?
I did not watch it. I there's no way I could stay up to watch that whole spectacle. I don't even know how long it lasted, but I did watch some of the highlights this morning, and boy, oh boy. Did you see Anthony Davis?
Just sitting down there?
Sit down. So is he going to – I got to say, as much as I rip the NBA and say it's a terrible product, I have to say the off-the-court stuff is absolutely fascinating because Anthony Davis, as LeBron James, if you guys know and saw it, as he broke Kareem's record, Anthony Davis is just sitting on the bench like absolutely sulking.
Yeah, and you had Russell Westbrook like trying to keep the ball away from LeBron James in the game.
And everyone with their phone out, and I know it's been said a bunch of times, but my God, what do you do with that video? What do you do? I mean, you've made it. You're like fourth row.
Yeah.
You've made it. Like what do you need to see? Like, are you ever going to watch that fucking video? No.
It's like we don't
Good
trust
for
ourselves.
LeBron,
It's like we don't trust ourselves to remember the moment. We have
Why?
to capture it. And no, it's fair. Like teach their own. And I understand. I've heard the argument that people do love going back in those moments and love having that memory. But you have to actually have the memory the first time. To me, to
you can watch
memory
that highlight whenever you want
yeah.
on 95,000 different cameras. No one's going to give a shit about your angle. Just watch it, soak it in.
Is it any worse, though, than the uncle or your dad that used to take 40,000 vacation photos instead of living in the moment? I don't know if it's any worse.
Yeah, but at least there was no Facebook back then. Can you imagine if you grew older and you got to look back at your dad's like Instagram and shit?
So much worse.
Oh my
Slideshows.
God.
You remember slideshows?
Absolutely.
Uncle Bruce's house slideshows. Oh my God. Oh.
Right. But but the thing is that you actually had to take a picture to remember some moments. You know, it was the 80s. A lot of things going on. You forget stuff.
By the way, if you ever get invited to a slideshow, Skymint, make sure.
Or a furnace group.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you ever, yes, right. Before you make decisions about furnace groups, Skymint, go to, I'll probably reach out to see if they want to be a sponsor, our friends at the furnace group. But
they'll charge us.
Go to skymint.com. This week, by the way, if you're thinking about Valentine's Day, some cool offerings through Valentine's Day. Sour lemon lime, sour blue raz, sour watermelon, some really cool, fun gummies and great deals on them. You can see those at skymint.com or just stop by any Skymint location. Some great deals going on. And chances are Skymint delivers in your community. Again, go to skymint.com to see if you are in an area that they do. Yeah, no, I the other thing I wish that we almost had in the equivalent of in college basketball somehow is like tomorrow's the trade deadline day. And
yeah.
I wish there was something in the middle of, you're not going to trade student athletes, although who knows as NIL goes there, but I wish there was something where you got to like,
are they still student athletes?
Reset, I don't know. There was something where you got to add a piece. Maybe you got to add a high school senior in January.
Knowing the NCAA, they'll just say, yeah, you guys can start doing that. No, there's no rules. Just go for it and we'll figure it out later.
Add a JUCO transfer in January. Something fun.
Sure.
Something fun for the rosters.
That'll make Izzo retire.
Oh, he'd be, yeah.
Jesus. You want to get him out of the NCAA? There you go.
He would flip the double bird, and that would be absolutely.
Don't coach my team.
Absolutely it. The refs, the NFL refs.
Roger Goodell, yes, I did see that. It did anger me as someone that despises the referees. Roger Goodell said today at the Super Bowl on Radio Row that the refs are better than they've ever been. And I'm like, is this dude trolling? He has to be, right? I mean, there's been some really terrible calls in these playoffs.
Well, it doesn't mean they're not better than they've ever been,
What does that mean? Better than last year? Better than the year before?
Yeah, I mean, always been horrible. No, I think he's sticking up for the refs, and I don't think they think it's that big a problem.
It's a hard job. I'm not saying it's an easy gig. I could do it, but they have to implement some sort of system where upstairs the guys are doing more upstairs, and the guys on the field are just doing stuff on the field and letting the guys review the stuff up in the booth.
No, the instant review stuff, there should be more of it, and stuff that doesn't delay the game. I think that's all the best stuff.
And we have to figure out what a catch is and what roughing the passer is.
Speaking of what a catch is, we have Harry on here in a few minutes.
I saw that.
He had a video where he caught a pass or didn't catch a pass from Joe Montana.
Dude, what's Montana doing, though?
Throwing passes at the Rose Bowl to 10-year-olds?
I mean, I guess you do that, right? Yeah. If you're Montana, you're a legend, you go to some stadium. Apparently, like, they paid $4,000 to do this, Harry and his buddy Ken.
So Harry paid $4,000 just himself?
No, it's a great story. Like, Harry apparently won. He plays video poker, but his friend Ken doesn't want
that's
him.
Right. Yeah.
There's a whole story behind it. But anyway.
We'll get into
But Montana's just sitting there, and he's just throwing he looks so slim and slant, like he looks fragile, and he's throwing passes to Harry. I'm like,
who's wearing football pants?
How much does Montana get? 20,000?
Yeah.
Do some shit like that.
Something.
I guess you do it.
Yeah, no, it's
Joe.
Yeah, are you? Yeah, I don't like the whole charade around the Super Bowl. I don't get into anymore. Yeah, I don't.
How can you?
I don't get into the media day stuff. I don't.
If you're in your 40s, how can you still watch Radio Row and 2 weeks of? If you've been watching football since you were younger, so you've been watching football for 30 years or whatever.
I feel like it's
just enough.
I feel like it's antiquated too in terms of the idea that this game is the biggest game to all of us. No, the other two games happened. Now there's college basketball. Now there's this. Like I don't need to build up. I don't need
the reporters.
Storylines.
I mean, some reporter asked Sirianni if this is a must-win game. You know what I mean? Can we just toss people out that ask dumb questions?
Jesus, that was a question.
Absolutely.
Like must.
They ask you like, what's your favorite tree? Like, just get out of here. I mean, do people enjoy it? Name one person. Name one person in your life that's like, I love Super Bowl week. I love it. I listen to nonstop radio podcasts about the Super Bowl. Not one person.
Yeah. I don't even remember the last time that I was excited
the
about
show was on radio. Like, what the hell? Like at like midweek right now tonight, we just like, what else do we have to talk about?
We'll be talking about the same
tomorrow?
shit. We're talking about the refs. And
Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Should Pete Rose be here gambling? July topics at the Super Bowl radio row.
Might be that. We would have guests on and we would ask interesting questions. You would ask your interesting questions.
Is this a must-win game?
I would be telling you to tell prison stories and stories about Santa Rube and things of that nature.
Hey, welcome Peyton Manning to the show. Hey, hold on a second. Rube's got to tell a great hooker story. Go ahead.
I would.
By the way, enough of the Manning bros. These guys have to be careful about. Listen, they're likable. People like them now. But you start putting the fucking Manning brothers on every other commercial, you're going to lose your shit. Like the Mannings watching a game. Like, I don't know. I like the Manning brothers, but you guys got to be careful of how much we see you.
I'm not saying.
Peyton Manning's he's doing game shows, dude. You have $200 million in the bank. What are you doing game shows? He's reading questions hyper fast to contestants.
It doesn't bother me. I like Peyton Manning.
You want more of the Manning brothers. What about Tom Brady? Tom Brady, if they're paying him $40 million, he's going to be all over the place. I've had enough of Tom Brady already.
Well,
I didn't mean to kill the show. Jeez, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you kind of did. Will you tell a prison story or something? Get us through these next
I
couple
was
minutes.
never in prison, all right?
Free Ubers.
Never.
Never in prison.
Misdemeanor.
Yeah, so let's take a real quick break here.
Yep.
And then we will get to Harry. We will do our Super Bowl picks, our best Super Bowl props, and we'll hear about what Harry's up to. I'm looking forward to this segment. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 in Cask & Company.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Medawar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Medawar Jewelers and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Medawar's by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rue, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis and our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. It is now time to pick the games, presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the games and the Super Bowl props with us through Firekeepers. Also a great place to just watch the Super Bowl and bet there as well. Joining us, of course, is the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, BestBetCorner.com, and ExtraPoints.com. Harry, brother, how are you, man?
What's up, guys? How's everything?
Great. You've had an adventurous week, man.
Yeah, it has been wild. I'm from Florida. It's like delayed. Having to get in at 3:30 in the morning in Phoenix. Got to be down at Radio Row for the Super Bowl festivities at 8 in the morning. So it's been wild the past couple of days. It's been a lot of fun, though.
And catching passes. I say it's a catch from Joe Montana. Tell people about this. What the hell, man?
Yeah, well, a couple weeks ago we had a bunch of things going on in Vegas. We had watch parties, and I was messing around, and I won $4,000 from a machine, and my buddy took the money. My buddy took the money from me because I told him I wasn't going to play anymore. So he took the money from me, and we used the money to donate the money to a charity of Joe Montana, which also got me to be at the Rose Bowl during the NFC Championship game, and a bunch of people there too, and who also did the same thing. And Montana, in the rain, threw me a pass in the end zone, which is up on extrapoints.com. You can find it. There's a poll saying whether I caught it or not. And last time I checked, it was 53% I did, 47% I didn't. But I'm telling you guys, Montana threw me a nice pass, and I definitely caught it. And then when I instead of spiking the football, I pulled out of my football pants that I was wearing that I couldn't keep up. I spiked a whatchamacallit candy bar, and Joe picked it up for me.
But why did Ken take the $4,000? Did you tell him, like, listen, if I hit something, take this money away?
We made a deal because he's also my boss when I do my regular job in the Arizona area, and I said that I wasn't playing video poker anymore, and we swore to it. And then when he found out, because of course Sal and his blabbermouth told him, he just, like, my money was sitting there, and he just took it.
Well, let me know if Ken's hiring at all. I can send my resume over. Sounds a fantastic job.
Right, nice. It was fun. It was great. It was good. It was great. Met Joe and talked afterwards. He told us all about his. You guys know about the Cotton Bowl when he was freezing, and he brought Notre Dame back from against Houston. It was good stuff. It was a lot of fun. Good
See,
times.
that's why I can't meet celebrities like that, because I'd be like Chris Farley in Saturday Night Live sketch. Like, remember when you threw the pass to Dwight Clark?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not supposed to be around celebrities, I don't think.
Well, the thing I love about this week, Harry, is the props, right? I mean, the game itself. I mean, we can start with the game, which is Philly -1.5 most places right now. Still, I think it's going to settle there. I don't know if it'll move at all, but I am on Kansas City just because I'm done betting against Mahomes in these sort of situations. I think Philly may be the slightly better team, but give me the better quarterback who's been there and all that jazz. And the 1.5 really doesn't matter a ton to me. Jason, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I like the Chiefs money line, but I think I might sprinkle a little bit on if you think the Chiefs are going to win, because the money lines are kind of wonky there, Harry. But Mahomes to win MVPs +135. If you think Kansas City's going to win, why not sprinkle a little bit or bet kind of maybe heavy on that at +135?
Oh yeah, if Kansas City wins, Mahomes MVP, like 99.9%, right? Like, who else could it be? But guys, I am going to go with the Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles, and I think they win by, how about this? I think they win by double digits. I think Mahomes is going to be the MVP, which I still believe. I still want to say that Hurts probably deserved it, considering he was 14-1 in the 15 games that he played. The 750 yards rushing, the 13 rushing touchdowns. I don't think they're being factored into the MVP that much. So Mahomes can go ahead and have the MVP. I think Hurts has the better game. I also think that, excuse me, guys, Sirianni deserved to be coach of the year, and he's not going to win that either. I mean, this guy in 2 years, he's taken the Eagles to the playoffs, and now he's got them in the Super Bowl. And look, I know the Giants didn't play well, and San Francisco lost Purdy, but I will say 69-14 has been the score of the two games combined. This Philadelphia team, number one in running the ball. They've been fantastic all year. Gainwell's been really good in the playoffs here, as is Sanders. I think, and you know what? A.J. Brown, we'll get to some props in a second, too. A.J. Brown has been kind of quiet so far in the playoffs. They went out and got him. He's been a great integral part to this team, helping them get to the Super Bowl. I'll tell you what, Mahomes can have the awards, and everyone can say Andy Reid's a great coach, which I don't believe that he is a great coach. And I'm telling you, Philadelphia puts up a 40 spot. I got 41-27 Eagles.
Well, okay. So are you then? Are you going to do an adjusted line then? Is that what you would recommend?
Sure.
Yeah. That would, okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna lay the 10.5. I'm going to lay 13.5. I think they win by 14. I don't know if it gets even crazier than that, but I'm going to even put I mean, we know there's so many so many things out there to bet, so many prop bets. I'm going to bet, where the Eagles score in certain, from like 35 to 42. Like you can bet all that. I'm all over it. I'm a Giants fan, and guess what? I'm on the Eagles. I'm on the Eagles, guys.
Is the Andy Reid hate from you? Is that gambling related?
No, you know what? It really isn't. I just think that my thing is that, of course he was in the Eagles for all those years, and then I'm a Giants fan, but 14 years. I just think the guy gets so much credit, and he doesn't take the hits when he deserved to take the hits, guys. 14 years at Philadelphia. He got, if you guys remember, he got almost every free agent that he ever needed or wanted defensively. Always had great defenses, but still only went to the Super Bowl one time and lost in 14 years. And when Doug Peterson got hired a couple years back, they said, what a horrible hire. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's a clown. Well, he won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. Now Sirianni's here. In 2 years, he's in the Super Bowl. And let's not forget, I told this to cousin Sal, and Jeff Schwartz, who was kind of against me here, but I said, since Andy Reid, look, he got his golden goose, which is Patrick Mahomes. In the year they actually won the Super Bowl, they slept through 3/4 of the game and finally woke up to beat Jimmy G. But he got his one ring, Andy Reid. But also years back before he didn't have Mahomes. And by the way, Mahomes would have won. The three of us could have been on the coach. We could have been head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, the three of us that year with Patrick Mahomes, and let him say, hey, Mahomes, you do whatever you want to. And we'd still win the title that year. He was so good. And the years before, remember, 38-10 lead Andy Reid against the Colts and blew that game in the playoffs. And then he was a 7-point favorite against the Titans in the playoffs. And they had an 18-point lead in that game and blew that game too. I just don't think Andy, everyone says, great guy, such a great coach. I disagree.
All right, you sold me. F Andy Reid.
Yeah. All right, so let's go around the table here and give a prop each, and then sort of go back, and then that if that makes any sense. This is the one I love most, Terry.
Okay.
Both teams to score plus 25 or more points. Yes. Ooh. Plus 237 at the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. So I think this is a game that could have some points to it. And plus 25 for both teams to reach 25, plus 237. I just think there's value there. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Oh, I think that's pretty good because, I was just listening on the way back home from downtown Phoenix and on the radio, and I was listening to James Conner was on the Cardinals running back, and not a lot of people are talking, Graham, about like a big score in this game, but Conner he predicted 35-30 in this game, Kansas City. So I was finally hearing somebody say, give out a number, though. I think there's going to be points scored, and I gave out 41-27, so I'm happy with a lot of points in this game too.
But where do you guys see all these points coming from if these two defenses are supposed to be top 5 defenses, and there hasn't been a score in the first 6 minutes of the past 6 Super Bowls? So where are all these points? You guys are obviously thinking points are going to be firing everywhere.
Well, okay, and I'll come back to my next one when we come back around to me. But that's fair. I'm just saying that plus 237. I feel like there's a little value there, and I lose all my prop bets anyway. So again, Harry, I got to buy a new furnace. It sounds like so. I'm between this and the Premier League, I need a big weekend. But all right, Jason, what's something you like?
I really like Jalen Hurts. First rush attempt under 4.5 yards, and it's plus 110. I think Sirianni, he likes to go for it on 4th down. If Philly gets the ball first, maybe they're at the 35, the Chiefs' 35-yard line, and it's 4th and 1, quarterback sneak. Easy money, right, guys?
Ooh, that's interesting, Jay. I kind of like that a little bit. Yeah,
that's not bad. Yeah, I like that. What do you got, Harry?
How about anytime touchdown? A.J. Brown at plus 125. Now, I mentioned a little while ago that I think he's going to have a big game. Obviously, huge pickup for the Eagles. He's had a monster season, led the team in receptions, yards, touchdowns. But he does have 0 touchdowns in the postseason. Just one in his last 6 games. But I think he has a huge game here. Hurts and him are best pals. I think he has a monster game. He wakes up and has a big game for Philadelphia at plus 125. He will find the end zone.
So I'll stay right there. Like I like what you said. For A.J. Brown to be the most receiving yards in the game, plus 280 at the Firekeeper's Eye Casino and Sportsbook app. Plus 280, A.J. Brown most receiving yards. I think that's a hell of a bargain. I mean, obviously Kelsey's the favorite to do that probably, but you telling me A.J. Brown's not capable of having that to be that guy?
Yeah.
Pretty just as likely.
He's capable. I just think it's going to be Kelsey, so it'd be hard for me to put some sort of money on that action. I think if you think that the Chiefs are going to win, Harry, like I think they're going to do Travis Kelsey props all day, right?
Sure. How about this one for Kelsey? I do like this one, guys. Over 78.5 receiving yards, 21 receptions in the playoffs. That's 14 more than Valdez-Scantling, who's second on the team in catches. It's averaging 88 in the playoffs. 8 straight playoff games for Kelsey, 78 yards or more. And let's not forget, in the last Super Bowl against Tampa Bay when they lost to Brady, he had a monster game still for the Chiefs. Even though they lost, he had 133 in that Super Bowl. So I'm going over 78.5 for Kelsey.
Yeah, like and along those lines, on the prop I've seen out there is tight end to win the MVP plus 900. Like that's like if you like Kelsey and like here's a question for you guys: what does it take for Kelsey to win the MVP and not Mahomes on the bad foot? Like there's a certain point to me where the guy catching the ball passes the quarterback because the ratio of passes going to him is over a certain amount, right? Or no?
Yeah, I hear you. You know what? We brought this up, but Jay mentioned it earlier. I just think that it doesn't. Will it matter what type of game Kelsey has? Like if Kelsey has a monster game, let's say he has 150 yards and he has 2 touchdowns, but Mahomes is still throwing the ball. Mahomes is still the one that's hurt. It's still going to be Mahomes, right?
And that's the thing. You would need him to either get an end-around kind of touchdown near the goal line or another player throwing him the ball other than Mahomes. Mahomes maybe gets hurt or something in the second half around there.
That's something, yeah, or a really memorable catch or something like that. That's just, but plus 900. That to me, for a guy like Kelsey, is worth a flyer. Yep. That's where
not a bad sprinkle.
The value gets decent there. What else do you like, Jason?
All right, so we talked about Travis Kelsey. I like doing these touchdown bets for the whole game. Anytime touchdown, I take one player from the Chiefs, one player for the Eagles. It's a fun thing to do. I don't think you're going to make money doing it over the long term, but I like doing it in the Super Bowl. Travis Kelsey, Miles Sanders, both anytime touchdown combined. You parlay that, it's plus 300. I mean, if those two guys, if you guys think points are going to be flying, I think those two guys are obviously, they have to be involved.
And Sanders had 2 in the first half against San Francisco.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not
bad.
No, it's not bad at all. What else you got, Harry?
How about this one? Let's go a little defense here. Let's go defense. How about Eagles linebacker T.J. Edwards, over 8.5 tackles at minus 111, always around the middle of the field, right where KC's receivers are going to be, especially Kelsey, as we just mentioned. Plenty of tackle opportunities for him. Had 9 in the last 4 games of the regular season. Had double digits in tackles 9 times during the regular season overall. T.J. Edwards over 8.5 for the Eagles, especially if, like I said, if the Eagles are up ahead and are having to pass all the time and go across the middle and just pick up chunks of that they're playing prevent a bit. If they're up 14, 20, 17, 20 points, they're going to let Kelsey get those passes underneath, and Edwards will be there to tackle him.
I kind of like it. All right, here's one. This one I like a lot. This may be my favorite one. It doesn't have the best odds, but that's probably why. Largest lead of the game, under 16.5, minus 135. Small bit of juice, but not a ton you got to pay for what. If you think it's going to be a competitive game, largest lead of the game, under 16.5, seems pretty dang realistic. I like it a lot. It's not quite even money, but it's not far enough off that it's not worth a little. I don't know.
Seems pretty low for 16.5. Right?
I know that's not a bad play. To me, I love that. That's on the Firekeeper's Eye Casino and Sportsbook app. That may be my favorite prop of the game.
Wow.
Again,
nice.
Keep in mind, I usually hit on about 18 to 19% of my prop bet. So I just want to put that out there for people. This isn't like my Premier League bets. I get excited right before the game. Will be like, fuck it, coin toss. What do we got? And and I'm sitting there trying to time out the national anthem on some offshore bet or book somewhere, or all that sort of stuff. So I'm not an intelligent props bet person, but I like to.
Well, speaking of the coin flip, Bill Simmons and cousin Sal Harry were talking about why do the books have to juice the coin toss? Can it just be even money?
I've always thought that. I'm like, that's so bad, right?
Right. I mean, they're going to make millions and millions of dollars, all of these sports books, right? And you can't even just give even odds. It has to be minus 105.
Even on both sides, just for one thing.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get into those kind of prop bets, but they can be fun if you're at a Super Bowl party, I guess.
I have not been able to find my neither team to score a touchdown yet, and I'm waiting to. I
know what I
find
did?
Did you find that?
I did look for that today because I was interested because of the defenses on both sides, but.
Yeah, once I find it.
Do you actually want to see it? Because you have to sprinkle.
I have to sprinkle then because Harry, I've told you this, but it was the Patriots Rams a couple years ago where I was going to have. I saw it was like a $250 bet paid $77,000, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. That can't happen. And then the fourth quarter, neither team had scored a touchdown yet. Now somebody eventually did. But just for peace of mind, I've got to put a little money on that now. If I ever when I see that line, I have not seen it.
And everybody has to drink when Graham tells that story.
Yeah.
Tell it every Super Bowl Sunday from here on out for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. Children gather around. Let me tell you this one. My fourth wife.
You guys both think that there's going to be a lot of points scored, right? I mean, maybe you guys are right, but I just think the 2 Ds and the stat about the last 6 Super Bowls, the first 6 minutes. 2 weeks in between games, there's going to be some rust there.
Little feeling out process.
You guys might be right.
Maybe I'm just thinking. Maybe I just don't like Andy Reid so much that I'm thinking too crazy in this game. But I don't know. I just think that this Eagles team, people got to realize. I mean, you look at many games during the season for this Eagles team where if teams aren't focused, they will bury you. This Eagles team. Before you know it, they will have 35 on the board. It happened in the game you guys remember early in the season against the Lions and other games during the season where just if you screw up, the Eagles will take opportunity there and bury you with it. I don't think Jalen Hurts is the best running quarterback in the NFL. I think he's in the top 3, but I think he's the smartest. He gets to the corners. He hits those angles. He knows when to get out of bounds. And I got one more here for you guys. How about this one? Eagles, first half, they score at least one rushing touchdown at minus 140, and it could be Hurts. Look, they had three first-half rushing touchdowns against San Francisco. We mentioned earlier, Sanders had 2 of them. They had 2 in the first half against the Giants in the second round of the playoffs. And in their last 9 games, Eagles' last 9 games, they've had a rushing touchdown in the first half in 8 of them. The only one they didn't score was Week 17 versus the Saints. And guess what? Jalen Hurts didn't play that game.
Here's another one for you, Harry. First drive of the game for the Chiefs, punt minus 120 for the Eagles, punt minus 105. If you bet both, you just need basically one to get your money back. But if you get both, you win a lot. Like, to me, that feels like unless the odds are somebody's going to punt, right? On that first drive, you'd hope. I don't know. Maybe I'm just that looks
possible.
Well, let's just hope the Chiefs. For you guys, maybe it's good, but let's just hope the Chiefs don't have the referees in their pocket again, because again, a lot of these third downs goes against the opposing team for the Chiefs to keep drives alive. Just saying.
Arian Foster said the NFL scripted. They handed him a script, so you never know. Conspiracy theory.
I'll tell you what. I'm not. I know it's crazy, but I'm not going to say that's 100% wrong.
So Harry, you're on Radio Row all weekend, but you'll be back home for where are you for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it here. I mean, I live in Scottsdale. It's down in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix. It takes me about a half hour to get down there, so I'll be here. I'm gonna be in Arizona watching the game. Beautiful, beautiful. Anything else we should look for? Boy, you know what? How about this one too? What will happen first? How about this one? Touchdown or a sack? I got -130. I'm going to take the sack. I think maybe what you said about the punting may be right, Graham. Maybe the offenses are just trying to feel each other out off the get-go. Maybe no wild play calling. Philly with first in sacks in the NFL. 4 players with 10 or more on the season. They had 69 as a team during the regular season. Maybe they get to Mahomes. They have 8 in the playoffs. Hassan Reddick's been a beast. He's got 3.5 in the playoffs. He sacked Purdy last week, 2 weeks ago in the first quarter and knocked him out of the game. So maybe sack first over a touchdown at -130. How about that? Yeah, no, I think I heard you give that out on Against All Odds last week. That's a great play, and you get more of this wisdom from Harry all the time at Against All Odds with Cousin Sal. Great pod, great gambling pod, and a fun listen. And promo the Extra Points arcade thing, Harry. Tell people how to do that. Yeah. By the way, guys, yeah, absolutely. Everybody out there that's listening to you guys, that's fans of Couch in the Room. Go to extrapoints.com. Extrapoints.com. Thanks, Jay. Extrapoints.com. Click on Arcade, and we have a contest going right now. It's 25. Oh, Graham, you're going to love this. 25 prop bets for the Super Bowl. Winner gets $1,057. It sounds right up my alley. But if you are the person who comes, but $1,057 in cash. But if you do finish in last, you have your worst record, you will have to suffer from what Sal calls the cap of consequences. You may have to do something. Somebody's going to have to do something. Remember last year, my brother, somebody in Portland, this guy named Daniel, I had to go up there. My brother had to take my brother. My brother's about 400 pounds, so we took his bath water. We had it flown to Arizona. I took it to Portland, and the guy had to drink it. That's worse than my man bra bet that if Michigan State doesn't win 20 games that I have to wear on in studio here. That's oof. That is I don't. It's going to get people to sign up. Yeah, that's scary right there. Listen, it's a gamble. You got a chance at 1,057, but it's also a gamble that you may have to do something not so great. Drinking Harry's brother's bathwater is not so great. I would definitely say that. Harry, you are a beautiful man. We appreciate you taking all the time this week. Have fun. We'll talk to you soon. You guys too. Have a great time. Let's hit something at the Super Bowl, guys. Let's have fun. Sounds good. Thanks, that is the great Harry Gagnon. Real quick, couple Premier League bets that I kind of like this week for the listeners. Chelsea under West Ham. Chelsea under 2.5, and I kind of like a parlay with Sorry, I was under the gun here. I didn't realize the music was hitting us up. Oh, go ahead. Oh, we can pause the music. What we can do? Oh my God. Go ahead. Thank you. I panicked. Manchester City -420 alongside Give me Arsenal -262. Two favorites parlayed both at home and but the other game I like straight up is Chelsea. West Ham under 2.5. Like that a ton this weekend on the Premier League. If you've got to buy a furnace, or if you're worried your Super Bowl prop bets may go awry like me, that is the absolute way to go. All right, we're good. Thank you, Jason. No problem. We appreciate you joining us. We'll be back Friday afternoon. I think we're going to do our Twitter question show this week. Got some scheduling stuff, so we're going to do it Friday afternoon for our live listeners. But we are going to do one more show this week, of course, and we'll put out that call for Twitter questions sometime on Thursday. We appreciate you listening. Appreciate Front 43. Appreciate Firekeepers. Appreciate Cass and Company. Appreciate Skyman. Appreciate you, Jason.
Good show.